Are you ordering discs again?
Dude, don't worry about it. We got the Home Slice coupon code. Discgolfmarket.com, promo code HOMESLICE. What is up, YouTube? We've got another comparison video, and today we're doing some drivers.
What's your name?
I'm Brad. That's Travis. Today we've got the Westside Boatman. And what else?
The Innova Orc with this stamp. May the Orc be with you.
Alright, the Boatman and the Orc. The Boatman is a little bit more domey than the Orc. As far as the rims go, they are kind of similar. The Boatman has a little bit more of that slope that we've talked about. The Orc still has it, but it's not quite as pronounced as the Boatman. The Boatman. We only had it in tournament plastic, but watch our review of the plastics and you'll see what the other plastics would be like. When I threw it flat with my arm speed, I got a little bit of an S out of it, but it always had a pretty reliable fade at the end. On a hyzer, it just held the hyzer the whole way. I couldn't get it to flip up. I liked it. I could get some pretty decent distance, at least for what I normally throw. On an Annie, you'll see I put it on a pretty crazy Annie line, a little bit steeper than I wanted to, and it just held it. At the very end, it started to flatten out, but I mean, it did not really want to come out of that. Overhand shots, it did all right. I wouldn't recommend it. It's just nothing special for your overhand. It's going to turn pretty quickly if you're throwing a thumber. But if you had to throw it, if you didn't have anything else in your bag, you could definitely get away with it. All right, the Orc. We had it in Champion, Star, and that's it, actually. Just Champion and Star. The Star was definitely more stable, but they were all a little bit more stable than I was expecting them to be. I thought I was going to get a little bit more of that S like I was getting with the Boatman, but it was just more stable. On that Annie, you can see I almost put it on the same angle there, and it ended up fighting out of it and just fell. On a hyzer, I did slip a little bit there. It just held that hyzer the whole way. Overhand, it wasn't that great. It doesn't feel great coming off the hand as an overhand disc, which was kind of the same. I didn't really like the feel of the rim in my hand when I was throwing it.
The Westside Boatman. This is a great, pretty stable distance driver. For me, I could hyzer flip it to flat, it'd turn a little bit and fade. Depending on the wind, tailwind, you could really throw it flat and high, and this thing would crush. I don't know if we got any on film, but I know before we started filming, I got a couple out to at least 400 feet with this thing. You get it up high and let it pan. It goes really far. It's really hard to see. This one, that was a good throw. It's just impossible to see. It really pans left to right and then fades at the end, but just all around great disc. The hyzer spikes are nice because it flips up a little bit, gets distance, and then it hyzers out. So it's really good for long hyzer flips. That's what I found this disc it was extremely good at long distance hyzer flips or hyzer shots. Forehand, it was like a perfect stability for when you're really trying to go for a long distance pull. It's slightly understable, or it's slightly understable enough to get the flip, but you know it's got that reliable fade at the end. So I got really good long, 450, 470-ish pulls with it. It's great. Touchy in the wind with a forehand, though. The Innova Orc was definitely more stable, not by a lot, but it was noticeable. So I could throw these and trust it a little bit more throwing it flat. They're great discs. One of my first favorite forehand discs was the Orc, but this for backhand for me, throw it flat, it's going to stay flat, probably turn over a little bit and have that reliable fade. Both of these discs were really great at the hyzer spikes. They would flip up a little bit, get some distance, and then fade out. I mean, I was getting these out there pretty far. It's a good speed. Here was a big Annie. It pans left to right a little bit, get that distance, glide out, and then it fades. Really reliable disc. This one for slightly faster arm speed, I'd pick this one because you would rely on this disc in just about any wind. You shouldn't really have to worry about it turning and burning on you. Forehand, like I said before, one of my favorite discs. For some reason, this stability is perfect. It's got that perfect reliable fade, but it still has a little bit of turn to get you the distance because you don't just want to throw a Firebird off the tee and not get any glide. For me, they get those tight wooded shots that you need them to go 350. You need some, some turn. So for this, hyzer flip, flat, maybe a little turn, and then it fades hard at the end. Very reliable disc. On to the recap. This is when we decide what disc we chose and if we're bagging it. What'd you think?
So, I like the Boatman. I used to bag this probably way before I should have been bagging it, and going back to it now, I liked it because it got me a little bit of that what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna be testing this against my Trespass because I think it's a little bit more stable, which might be good. But I don't know for sure. So this might be in my bag, but it might not.
There you go, guys. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. For me, man, this was a hard one. And I'm still making the decision as we're doing this video.
Dude, you were crushing the Boatman.
I know.
You was getting some serious distance with the
Again,
Boatman.
just like the VP, what we just did. They're just slightly different. Like this one's just a little bit more stable, a little more dependable with my forehand, but also the Boatman, I was crushing. I mean, I was really throwing them. It was like a perfect stability for me. For long distance though. And in the wind, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work as well in the wind. So I have to go with the Orc. It's a tough decision. It's seriously a toss-up. So if you have slightly less arm speed than me, go with the Boatman. Yeah, but if you have my arm speed or above, probably go Orc.
I think we were getting similar flights with, like, you were getting a similar flight to what I was getting with the Boatman.
Yes.
With the Orc.
So that obviously showed that, like, there's a little bit of a speed difference. So
yeah,
slower, go with the Boatman. Faster, go with the Orc. Both great discs. Really liked them both.
Yeah.
Not going in the bag. I have a Trespass that kind of fits into this, and I'm not sponsored by Dynamic, I promise. An Escape, which it's only a speed 9, and you would think it's not comparable to these. It is. I mean, it's really, really far. Not as stable, but I can get really good distance out of it, and the Trespass and Escape fill this void. But what about you? What's it filling?
Well, I already went over that, but it could replace my Trespass. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. So you.